Are you PCSing to Patuxent River Naval Air Station or Andrews Air Force Base or Joint Base Andrews? Make sure you watch this video so I can help you make the decision of whether you should rent or buy at your new duty station. What's up, everybody? My name is Rob Schou and I'm with EXP Realty here in Southern Maryland. We love to help people move to Southern Maryland, so if that's something you're planning on doing pretty soon here, make sure you use that contact information below and I'd be happy to help you make those decisions. If you want to schedule a meeting with me, make sure you scroll down, click the link for the Calendly link right there, and it will schedule a Zoom meeting with me on the best day for you, and we can go from there. And if you haven't yet, make sure you click the subscribe button, click the little bell so you're notified every time we put out new content. And it also helps other people just like you looking to move to Southern Maryland, maybe PCSing to Andrews Air Force Base or PCSing to Pax River. It helps them find us, make sure they make informed decisions about where to live in Southern Maryland. All right, so like I said earlier, today what we're going to be talking about is whether or not you should rent or buy when you get your change of station, when you get your permanent change of station down here to either Andrews Air Force Base or Pax River. I 100% believe that there's two ways to kind of approach this. There's the very emotional, personal way, and then there's the investment mindset way. And it's really up to you and your goals to decide how you want to approach this. I've done purchases for myself based on both emotional and based on more of the investment mindset. And so I think I have a pretty unique perspective to kind of help you through those and talk you through those different ways to view these purchases. Renting and buying is one of those things I get tons of questions about as a realtor that works in an area where there's tons of people moving in and out due to PCSing. A lot of people will come down here and decide that, hey, you know what, I just want to rent, and they end up buying, or they come down and they end up buying after deciding, after seeing what was for sale, and they decided just to rent. Now, of course, one of the biggest choices you can make is choose to live in military housing. Pax River has more limited amounts of military housing, and there can be a wait list for us, so that's best to contact the person helping you with PCSing to see what that looks like. But Andrews Air Force Base or Joint Base Andrews has a lot of options, and you can actually look at the other surrounding bases to help you pick some of those military housing options. So first off, if that's something you want to do, I really highly recommend you contact the person helping you with your PCSing, with your orders, and going that direction. But here I want to talk to you about renting itself, maybe in the open market, and using your BAH for that rent, or using your BAH towards buying a house and maybe getting a VA loan. So number one, and one of the biggest things that I hear when I talk to people about moving to a new area when they're PCSing is they're going to rent because they're going to move anyways and they don't want to deal with the market. When someone's 100% dead set on that, I will happily help them find that rental that they're looking for. Now, the really great thing about a rental is that you're not really responsible for a lot of the large ticket items that might go wrong. You got just the normal maintenance, maybe cutting the grass, that kind of stuff. But for the most part, the landlord or the property manager is responsible for fixing those kind of stuff. But at the same time, you can't go in there and personalize it. So you really have to ask permission to do all types of different projects, hanging pictures, that kind of stuff. You may need to ask permission. So I think that's that give and take between those two things. Another pro of renting that a lot of people say is that when you move, you just move. You don't have to worry about selling a house. You don't have to worry about, finding another real estate agent or this or that, or what if I move and I have 2 mortgages. So just the peace of mind, a lot of military members and just people in general decide they're going to rent if they're going to move in the next few years because they don't want to deal with all that headache. Now, I kind of think about it a little bit different way, and especially right now with renting, our rents in Southern Maryland, what I've noticed and throughout the nation from 2021 to 2022 are increasing 20 to 30% year over year. Now, the housing market is going up kind of all over the place, and rents are affected as well. So The one thing about rents is while you may lock into that $1,500 a month, that first one, maybe the second, or that first year, maybe the second year, your landlord or your property manager has a clause in there that your rent's going to rise every single year. So make sure that if you are looking to rent, that you understand that your rent may change year to year. And if your BAH doesn't match that amount, or you just don't want to pay that extra amount, then that should be something you really think about. Another thing, and this is one that's talked about all the time, of course, when you're paying rent, you're paying that property owner, you're paying that landlord, you're paying that, that property management company. Your money's gone. You're building no equity over that time that you're there. You're building no equity in a house that you're doing. You're building their equity. So you're paying their mortgage, you're putting money in their pocket, and you're paying for their investment. Some people can see that as a waste of money. I don't know if I see it as a waste of money. I might see it as a missed opportunity to put your money elsewhere and maybe have a return on your money. But I don't know if I see it as a waste of money, because you have to live somewhere. I can understand why someone would want to rent, and I 100% support people that want to rent and would be happy to help you if you're looking to rent in the Southern Maryland area. But those are kind of my pros and cons of renting. Let's jump into buying. Now, I'm going to talk about two different kinds of buying. So there's buying on that emotional side of buying, where we find that dream house, we find that perfect house, and we want to be here. And then there's buying with the investment side of buying. So I'm going to go over the emotional part of buying first and finding that dream house for you. And then I want to talk about that investment side of buying and how you can make the house that you buy not only be that great house for you and whoever is living with you, but also turn into investment that maybe makes you money while you're in duty stationed here, but then also if you want to keep it, you could keep making money on it afterwards. Before I even start, I talked earlier about rentals. You're paying somebody else, and you should be, if you're buying a house, at least you're paying yourself. And that's pretty true, but in some ways it's not, because your whole rent payment is going towards that landlord, and not your whole mortgage payment would be going towards paying down your loan balance. So when you buy a house, a portion of it will go towards your principal and actually pay down the mortgage. So if you have a $1,500 a month mortgage payment, about $400 of that in the beginning is going down and paying your mortgage down. And it's a better situation for some people than the rental situation. But I don't want you to think if I pay $1,500 a month in my mortgage, it's automatically going to be $1,500 coming back to me. And that just doesn't normally pan out. All right, so let's talk about buying a house down here. Some of the benefits of buying a house. One is you got that fixed payment. When you sign up, besides your taxes and possibly your homeowner's insurance changing, you're going to be locked into that rate. You're going to be locked into that payment throughout the life of that loan, throughout the 30 years of that loan if you got a 30-year fixed, or the 15 years of that loan if you got a 15-year fixed. You're going to be locked into that price, which is great for budgeting. You know exactly what's coming. You know exactly how much you can plan on spending on housing costs, and it just makes it a lot easier to plan, I think, compared to rent, where that might be rising throughout. Now, another great thing about buying is there's more options to find exactly where you want it, and you can customize the house to how you want it and what you think is best for your house. And that's the opposite of rentals. You're dealing with someone telling you how you can do stuff in the house, and there's can be a lot of confusing things and rules that go along with that, and even down to you might not be able to have a pet, and who doesn't want a dog? So I think buying a house is the best way to do it. Because it lets me live the life that I want to live. So I want to be able to do home projects. I want to be able to do stuff outside. I want to be able to have pets. So for me to have that freedom to decide, buying a home makes the most sense for me. And so that's something you got to really check in and see if that's what you want. And if you can find a rental that meets all those things, then go with the rental. But if you can't, really consider buying a home and using your VA loan to really get that with zero down. One myth that I think is pretty common is that just because you're buying a home and you're paying the mortgage on it and you're paying down that principal, that it's a slam dunk investment. I agree that when you sell the house, there's a chance that the equity that's in the house can be more than what you owe, and you might walk away with a nice chunk of money. But that can be a gamble. So it's not necessarily an investment because you're not really seeing any return on it until you sell. And that's going to lead me into this next one. We talk about how to really structure a house search for investments. But for right now, we'll get into that in a second. So I just want you to really think about the fact that you can't go in there and say, this is my house because I want to buy because it gives me the freedom to do whatever I want and do all these other things and home projects and all this kind of stuff that I love about being a homeowner. And also, it's definitely going to make me a whole bunch of money because there is not a definite when it comes to equity in houses. You know, historically, a buy and hold situation where you're buying a house and holding it for a few years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, you should see a return on your investment, but it's not a guarantee. But that kind of gets me into this next one. So if you decide that you want to buy a house and you want it to be a true investment, you kind of have to shift your mindset of how you're going to look for houses. So no more are you really buying emotionally where you're saying this house is the best house, this is perfect for us. You're looking at it more of a numbers kind of scenario. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to find a realtor in Southern Maryland. And I have my own investment properties and I've been going through this with different families as well. You're going to want to find a realtor like me that can help you identify properties that will make sense as an investment. Now, to me, an investment is a property that after you pay your mortgage, after you pay expenses, it would not only pay for the mortgage that you have on the house, it would pay for the expenses that it would take to kind of save up if anything goes wrong, and then you would have some cash flow or money left over after you pay those things. Not every property is going to cash flow. Not every property is going to be a great rental. And so you need a strong realtor, or doing it yourself, you need a strong understanding of that local market, of the house prices, and also of the rental prices to figure out where you can find that sweet spot of a well-priced house with higher rent that you can own and live in while you're here, and then possibly rent out when you get your next order. And you can use your VA loan for that first one. I believe you can do up to 2, but that would be something I would definitely want to hook you up with a local lender and talk about, you know, your BAH and how much you can actually borrow out and that kind of stuff. That'd be something definitely that a local lender can help you more with. But you could continue this model of buying in your current duty station at a price that makes sense in a place that has high rent that you could then rent out when you go, and you could have passive income at every single duty station you're going to. So that can be an option too if you're looking to buy a house, but maybe you want to make sure that it's an investment and making you property or making you money. That can really be a strategy that actually a lot of people have done inside and outside the military. All right, so those are my pros and cons of renting versus buying when you're looking to move to Southern Maryland. If you want to talk about renting or buying if you're moving to Southern Maryland, especially if you're a military member, make sure you use that contact information below. I love to go over some of the areas that I'm seeing that are in great investment areas. I love to go over the areas that maybe you should stay away from investment-wise, and I love to also just help you make some decisions on where you should be or where it would best fit you to live in Southern Maryland. Well, if you have any questions or need any help, like I said, use that contact information below. Click the link down there to schedule a Zoom meeting with me. And also, if you haven't yet, make sure you click the subscribe button, click the little bell so you're notified every single time we put out new content about moving to Southern Maryland. Have a great day, and hopefully I'll see you on the next video.